Welcome to our CD Showcase. I am Briar Cisneros, and today I'm going to be doing another contest entry, and this time it's for the YouTuber known as Jason the Old Millennial. Now, Jason is trying to push for 100 subscribers, so he's hosting this little contest here. Now, if you're not familiar with him, I have his channel pulled up right now. He actually has a good variety of videos. He talks about music. He has 2 ongoing series where he ranks every Beatles song, and he's also ranking his favorite albums of all time. And he also talks about any purchases of any albums he gets. Like, he recently got like 3 vinyl, like Jimi Hendrix and Ed Sheeran and the Beatles, so those are great if you're into that. But besides that, he also talks about movies, so if any of that stuff interests you, I highly recommend you check him out. He's a really nice guy. I don't know him personally, but we comment on each other's videos from time to time, and he always seems like a really genuinely very nice guy, so we'd definitely appreciate if you go. I'll leave a link in the description to his channel, so you can go ahead and follow him there. So let's get this contest going. So the theme in this particular contest is all about the year that you graduated in. So there's 4 questions Jason has me answering. So I wrote them down in 2 places. I wrote them on this piece of paper and I wrote them on this book. I don't know why. I just like writing, I guess. So first question: what is your favorite album from the year you graduated? If I'm going to be honest, that's probably the hardest question on here, because I'm going to reveal my, well, not really reveal, but it'll kind of reveal it. But I graduated in 2019, so like 3 years ago. So hasn't been that long since I graduated. So the reason why that question is kind of hard is because, to be honest, I wasn't really listening to that much new music in that year, because I was pretty preoccupied listening to like all that behind me. So I didn't really listen to that much. But that does not mean I was not listening to any new music. And after looking around, I did manage to find 1 or 2, and the one I'm going to be kind of mentioning, that's going to be my answer, it's called Hollywood's Bleeding by Post Malone, and I'll leave a picture here because I actually don't own a physical copy of it. But Post Malone, if you're not familiar, he's mostly a rapper slash hip hop artist, and I'm not a huge fan of those genres, but occasionally there'll be a song or 2 that'll catch my attention. And on this particular album, there's actually a few songs that I kind of actually enjoyed. Probably the biggest song on that album was called Circles, and I quite like that song. It's pretty catchy chorus and all. And really the big thing that kind of got me interested in that album was because there's one song called Take What You Want, and that song actually features Ozzy Osbourne. Yes, the Ozzy Osbourne. So that caught my attention right away, and it's actually a really good song. Of course, it has Travis Scott on it, and he's probably the weakest part of that song. But I mean, Ozzy on a kind of like a rap slash hip hop song, like, whatever. I think that's pretty cool. And Ozzy sounds great on the song. So Hollywood's Bleeding by Post Malone is going to be my pick. And speaking of Ozzy Osbourne, it goes into the second question, which is, what is your favorite song from the year you graduated? So I speak of Ozzy Osbourne because I'm going to be going to this album. Now, some of you might see this and you're thinking, but hey, didn't that come out in 2020? Well, yes, it did. But the one song was released in 2019, and it was the first single on this album, and it's called Under the Graveyard. I had to look at it for a sec, but Under the Graveyard was the first single off this album, released in 2019, and it's a great song. Like, I mean, it was kind of the longest break, one of the longest breaks between albums for Ozzy. I think there was like a 10-year gap between this album and his previous one, and it was like, for many people, it was kind of like a welcoming surprise. It was like, Ozzy sounded great. The production was pretty good, and even the guitar work on that song is great. Lyrically, it's kind of tackles some dark themes, but knowing Ozzy, you'll run into that once in a while. So yeah, my favorite song from 2019 is Under the Graveyard by Ozzy Osbourne. Okay, so now we're moving away from music for a bit, and now we're going to what is your favorite movie from the year you graduated. Now, I originally was going to go with Rocket Man, the Elton John biopic, but that seems a bit on the nose, especially for a music channel like mine. So I decided to go with something a little bit different. I'm not sure if everybody is familiar with it, but it's called The Lighthouse. I actually wrote it down. So The Lighthouse is directed by Robert Eggers. I hope I said that right. But stars William Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. So if you're not familiar with, it's a psychological horror film, and I do like a good psychological horror, because by the end of it, your brain just wants to explode because you're just thinking, what the hell just happened? But in a good way. So to get a basic plot, is just basically about these two lighthouse keepers go to this lighthouse to, do their thing, but a storm comes in and they're stranded, and pretty much the movie is just them going completely insane. Pretty straightforward, but there's definitely lots of delusions they have, because of all the separation anxiety from the outside world. They only have each other, and so they're just like, eventually there's a lot of bickering. It gets insane, but I'm not going to spoil it. But it's a great film. It's a black and white film, which definitely appeals to me because I do like black and white films. And the two main actors is mainly just them the whole time, but they do a great job in it. So if you're into psychological horror, I recommend it. So The Lighthouse is my favorite movie of that year. Okay, so now the final question. What is a special memory or news event that happened when you were in high school? All right, so that's kind of like decide what you want to talk about. I'm going to go with special memory. And actually, the special memory did happen the year I graduated. So in my senior year, I took a drama class. This might be a long story. I'm going to try to keep it short, but I took a drama class in high school, and I was at the point where I was part of the more advanced students. And one of the assignments that's given to more advanced students is that they get to direct a one-act play. And when I found that out, I immediately volunteered, because again, if you're not sure, if you didn't know, I want to get involved in filmmaking at some point, and I thought this would be a great opportunity for me to actually get experience directing like a cast, because before I would just make stuff on my own. So I got started. I did the whole shebang. I did a whole audition. I didn't write it. I'll get to that in a sec. But I had a play already set to go. I had to plan all the blocking on stage. Had to pretty much coordinate the actors into what they have to say, make sure they memorize the lines. The whole thing. And if you're curious what the play is about, to kind of put it simply, it's basically a play. It's a play from a book I was reading. And what I mean by that is that I was really into this book series, and in one of the volumes, the main cast did a play. And basically, the play that's in that book, I decided to adapt, because it's actually a really good play. I really enjoyed that. Basically, it's about this girl who wakes up in the hospital, and she has amnesia, can't remember anybody or who she is, and so so 3 people come to her hospital bed, and she asks each of them, like, who was I before my accident? And all 3 of them gave 3 completely different answers, and now she's confused on who am I, who was I, and which persona should I take. So I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it's a beautiful story, great message to it. But so it's, I had to, like, I was totally looking forward to showing that to the class. So we spent like a few months just preparing for it, and the day we were gonna not shoot, but the day we were gonna present it to the class, one of my actors bailed on me, like completely ditched us. Like we couldn't get a hold of him. Like he was not receiving the texts we were sending him. Like, where were you? Where are you? What's taking you so long? So I didn't give up though. You know the old saying, the show must go on. So I pretty much just jumped in. I just took over his part, because if I'm gonna be honest, I kind of had a feeling he was gonna bail. So I memorized all his lines prior. But yeah, and what kind of stung was that, literally I saw him the day before. Like I was going home, and I saw him the day before, and he said, "Hey, I'll see you tomorrow," and I was like, "Cool, see you then." And the fact he just bailed, just like what the fuck. But yeah, anyways, like long story short, we did the play. It was a complete shit show. It wasn't because of the actors. The actors did really well, but it was mainly the people who were in charge of the lights. Like they were completely screwing up. It was a mess. It was a mess. We didn't even get to finish it because we ran out of time, which kind of sucks. And I was kind of crushed at first, but looking back on it, if I'm going to be honest, really it was mostly about the journey rather than the finished product, I must say. But yeah, that's pretty much my special memory. It's special memory because it was my first time directing like a whole cast of people, and I generally had a lot of fun. And the cast, the actors, we got along pretty well, and everyone was very understanding, very supportive, and it was a lot of fun. So, moral of the story: sometimes it's not always the final destination that counts. It's all about the journey. So that is my special memory, and those are all the questions that Jason's left for me. So again, thank you very much for watching. Again, go ahead and subscribe to Jason the Millennial. He is almost to 100. By the time I'm recording this, he is at 61, so let's get him to 100. Again, speaking for someone who recently got to 100 not that long ago, I definitely want to help someone who's trying to get to that first big milestone. So good luck to you, Jason, if you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and goodbye for now.